Good day to all our viewers out there. My name is Heinrich Neethling and welcome to Mathematical Literacy. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at the topic of finance, but more specifically at personal income tax. Now, let me quickly share something interesting with you. Did you know that fringe benefits help companies recruit, motivate, and keep high-quality employees? Companies competing for the most in-demand skills tend to offer the most lavish benefits. Also important is that some of the most common fringe benefits like your health and life insurance are not taxable, but others are taxed at fair market value. So what is it that we can expect of today's lesson? So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to, first of all, understand the concept of tax threshold. You must be able to calculate pension fund contribution, fringe benefits, especially travel allowance, and taxable income. You should also be able to use tax tables to calculate income tax, that now is for individuals, and show how the values on the table were calculated. Also important is that you must be able to calculate medical aid tax credits, determine relevant tax rebates, and also to calculate annual tax as well as monthly tax payable. Okay, so this is more or less what we can expect, right? So we look at personal income tax. There'll be some explanation as well as some examples. Now let's look at what else is important, right? As already indicated, you should be able to define the term tax, right? Explain why we pay tax. Also explain and calculate basic income, gross income, net income, as well as taxable income. Now let us quickly do a quick practice, right? And I want you to work with me, all right? So the first question, it's a level 1 question, and I'm asking here, write the abbreviation SARS in full. Okay, so we all know that SARS stands for South African Revenue Services. Right, so make sure you know these abbreviations and that you are able to write them in full. So, South African Revenue Services. Question number 2. Calculate a taxpayer's annual pension fund contribution if she earns a basic monthly salary of 27,350 Rand and contributes 7.5% to the government employees pension fund. Right, so it's basic income, 25,000 Rand. All right, remember now, this is a monthly contribution, or salary. But remember, we would like to know what is an annual pension fund. So the word annual refers to year, right? So first of all, I'm going to take a monthly basic income, the 27,350, and I will multiply that by 12 to move from monthly salary to your annual salary, right? And remember we said on that a 7.5% is contributed towards the pension fund. All right, so let's quickly type that in and please work with me on your calculator. So 27,350 Rand multiplied by 12. So that will give us a basic annual income of 328,200 Rand. And on this, the 7.5% is calculated. So therefore, I'll write in 7,5 over 100, right? It represents the 7.5%. So multiply by 7.5 divided by 100. So in this case, this lady will contribute 24,615 Rand annually towards the pension fund. All right, guys, I hope that's clear. Let's look at another question. At question number 3, it says define the term fringe benefit. All right, so fringe benefit is any benefit, okay, any extra benefit that's added to the salary, right? So any extra benefit that's added to the salary. So basically it is supplementary, right, the salary. For example, a travel allowance or a house allowance, for example, right? So that is an extra benefit that is added to the salary. It's supplementing the income of the individual. And then we have question number 4. Write down the formula for calculating taxable income, right? So how do we calculate taxable income? We take our gross income, whether it's monthly or annually, depending on the question. So we take our gross income, right, minus all our non-taxable deductions, right? Like, for example, a donation or pension fund. So gross income minus your non-taxable deductions. Now let's look at what else is important. So here I basically have an outlay of what the topic of taxation is all about. So we are saying there are 2 types of taxation. The first one is your VAT, and we know that's your value added tax. And then we have income tax, right? And that's the focus of our lesson today. All right, then also when we look at income tax, we start with our gross income minus our non-taxable deductions, and then we end up right at our taxable income, like we did now with question number 4. So your gross income minus your non-taxable deductions will give you your taxable income. Then examples of non-taxable deductions will be pension fund or a donation. Right? So as soon as we have our taxable income, right, we will look at the tax threshold. And why is this so important? The tax threshold determines who must pay tax and who must not pay taxes, right? So if the person is tax liable, so the person must pay tax, then we see in which tax bracket, right, tax bracket or tax category that person must be. And then we also look at rebates, right? So we know there are 3 different rebates, your primary, secondary, as well as your tertiary rebate, depending on your age. And then we also look at your medical aid tax credit. Okay, now let us look at other important terminology as well. So I've indicated here that tax is a compulsory contribution to state revenue levied by government on any individual or business earning an income. So why do we have to pay tax, you may ask? Okay, so it's to fund social and economic programs, right? Also to provide public goods and services, for example, schools, hospitals, etc. Then we already spoke about this. SARS is the South African Revenue Services. And then PAYE is pay as you earn. Right, also important is to know other basic terms, like for example, your basic income. This is the amount of money an individual earns regularly. For example, your monthly salary or your weekly wage, depending on the agreed term of payment. Then what is gross income? That's the total amount of an individual's income before deductions. Therefore, basic income plus any other extra income. Okay, for example, your bonus, housing allowance, etc. Then net income, that's income after all deductions. And that's also known as your take-home salary. Okay, then taxable income, very important. That's the amount of income used to calculate tax. Income remaining after the non-taxable deductions has been subtracted and is used to calculate your tax payable, right? And then income that has tax applied to it. That we can all list as taxable income. And also, what is the formula we use to calculate taxable income? As I've indicated before, we take the gross income minus our non-taxable deductions. Okay? Now let's quickly zoom into our fringe benefits. What exactly is important here? It's an extra benefit supplementing, right, an employee's wage or salary. For example, a company car, private health care, or a travel allowance. When an employee receives fringe benefits, the gross income includes the salary plus all the fringe benefits. Okay, so what is a travel allowance? And I want you to take note because we're going to apply this. Okay, it says here, if an employee uses their car for work purposes and more than 80% of the distance traveled per month is work-related, for example, going to see clients, then 20% of the amount will be included in the gross income as a fringe benefit. Very important, so this is a concept of 80% versus 20%. All right, guys, let us quickly take a short break. After the advert break, we'll continue with more maths. See you now.